landed on this video, it is most likely because your child is a stripper. Okay, but like seriously, there is a population of children in the world who decide to just take off all their clothes as soon as you tuck them in and say goodnight and you leave the room. 9 times out of 10, the children who are doing this are doing it for attention. Yes, attention. They do not like that you tucked them in and left the room and said, okay, good night, go to bed. And they're trying anything and everything to get you back in the room. But today we're gonna talk about 10 things that you can do to make this stop as soon as possible. We're gonna start with the basics. So number 1, you want to make sure that your child is wearing comfortable pajamas. Some kids, like my daughter actually, she does not like sleeping in anything that's like too tight or itchy, or if it's a certain material. She really has like fabric aversions, really. It's gotta be like a sensory issue. If you know that your child has sensory issues, then this is definitely the reason why they're doing this. And it's not always, that's why I said 9 times out of 10, so it's not like this 1 time out of 10, might be because your child is uncomfortable and they really just need a different option of pajamas. Once you're sure that what they're wearing is appropriate, then the second thing you want to do is make sure that the room is a comfortable temperature. You want to make sure that it's not too hot and it's not too cold. So anywhere between 68 and 72 degrees Fahrenheit is appropriate for your child's bedroom. Now, the third thing that you want to do is make sure that you have a predictable and consistent bedtime routine. This is where my bedtime routine cards will come into play. You can grab these bedtime routine cards already done and made for you. I have a template for you for free in the description box down below. This will take you to Canva, where you will make a copy of the template and you can personalize them if you'd like, or you can print them and cut them out as is. Now, having visual routines is definitely going to help your child understand boundaries, routines, and expectations at bedtime. Make sure you're doing the same routine in the same order every single night. The other thing that you want to do with your child's bedtime routine is to let them have control when and where they can have control. So as you would think that in your bedtime routine, your child's gonna have to go to the bathroom, brush their teeth, get their pajamas on, get in bed, read some books, all these things. And your child can make a lot of these choices. They can decide what pajamas they want to wear. They can decide if they want to brush their teeth first, or if they want you to brush their teeth first, or if they want to use the upstairs toilet or the downstairs toilet, or you know, what books do they want to read before bed. Whatever choices your child can make, let go of having that power and let them have that control, because then when it's time to actually go to bed, your child will feel like they've had all of these choices, they've had all of this control, they've had all of this power to choose their own way and their own journey to get to bed, that once they're in bed, it's not as big of a deal. The fourth thing that you can do is use positive encouragement. So along with letting your child make choices during their bedtime routine, this is a great time for you to congratulate them or just encourage and inspire them as they're choosing great books for bedtime. Maybe they're choosing a really cute pair of pajamas, or whatever you can say, like, wow, you made a really good choice, let's do the next thing, or what's next in your routine. So that's your basics. Now let's jump into the actual how-to. If all of those things have been covered and your child is still taking their clothes off in the crib after bedtime, then what you want to do is have a reversible sleep sack. Now, this isn't necessarily something that you're going to buy at the store, but what you can do is just use or get a sleep sack that you can put on your child backwards. Now, this is not something that you're going to just find at the store, but what you want to do is get a sleep sack that you can put on your child backwards and have the zipper in the back. There are several kinds of sleep sacks that also have the zipper from the bottom to the top, but at this point, what you want to do is make sure that you have one with the top to bottom zipper, because it's going to be harder for your child to reach back here and do a zipper than it is for them to reach down lower. So try to make sure that you have a regular top to bottom sleep sack and put it on them backwards. With all the backwards sleep sacks, you can also have their pajamas on backwards. So if they have a one-piece pajama on, then you can have them put it on backwards and zip it behind them so that they can't do that if they get through the sleep sack. Now, of course, well, what if they have footies? You can always cut the feet off, because obviously you can't put footies on backwards. Like, just imagine your kid wearing backwards footies. Anyways, okay, so the sixth tip here is to have non-stimulating redirection. So let's say that you've done all of the aforementioned things and you put them in their bed, you've said goodnight and you've left the room, and then you're watching on the monitor and you notice that they're taking off their clothes. What you want to do is go in the room and say nothing, but just put their clothes back on, lay them down and leave. Like, give them a kiss, but do not say a word because they want you to. They're trying to get you in there. And I hate to say it, but some kids at this age, not all kids, but some kids at this age are being manipulative. I always tell parents, like, your baby is not being manipulative. They're not crying to get you back in the room. But once they're at this age where they're smart enough to know that if they do X, then Y is gonna happen. And if they know that when they take off their pajamas that you're gonna go rushing in that room, because obviously you want them to have their clothes on so that they're not cold, and some kids who are taking off their diapers are going to pee all over their bed in the night. And yes, I've seen it happen where kids will take everything off and poop in the corner of their crib just because they know that somebody's going to have to come in and pay attention to them. So really making sure that you are not having a stimulating interaction at all, but is just very matter of fact. Matter of fact and non-stimulating does not mean not loving. You can always love your child, and you can also love on them silently. Give them a hug, give them a kiss, put their clothes back on, and leave. And then that kind of segues into tip number 7, and that is to reward the positive behavior. So in the morning when your child wakes up, you can make a big deal and just say, yay, I'm so proud of you. You kept your pajamas on last night. Like, yay, you kept your clothes on. Now, number 8, you may think is a tiny contradiction to number 3 about your bedtime routine, because I'm going to tell you to mix it up a little bit. Come up with something fun and exciting for your child to do after you've already tucked them in. So that can be a Zenimal or one of these like rage, like they're all the rage like Tony box things. Have your child listen to a story after you have already tucked them in and left the room. So this is something that will get your child distracted. It will take their mind off of taking their clothes off, and hopefully by the time the story is over, then they are drowsy enough to just doze off to sleep and keep their clothes on. The thing I really love about the Zenimal is that after it does it's actually a meditation device for children, and after it goes through the meditation, which is a very enticing story that it's actually taking the kids through, like, you'll just have to go on their website and listen to some of the samples because they're amazing. But after that is done, you can set it to go on white noise, so then your child has that distraction as well if they're not all the way asleep once the story is over. So I definitely am a huge advocate for the Zenimal. I love the company. I love everything they stand for. That's my tangent about the Zenimal. You should get one. So for tips 9 and 10, this is going to be for you and your sanity. Tip number 9 is to have patience and consistency. Once you come up with a plan, you have to stay consistent with it. If that means that you have to return to the room, very non-stimulating, very matter of fact, and put your kids' clothes back on and leave again, then you need to commit to it. You need to do this every single time. It's basically sleep training all over again. Maybe you sleep trained your kid when they were a baby, but now that they're a toddler and they're doing this independently and it's a completely different situation, that's exactly what it is. It's a new, different situation, and you need to reevaluate how you're addressing this situation. So yes, it may be annoying and it may feel like sleep training all over again, but you need to be patient and you need to be consistent, and you need to just have the expectation that this might take a couple weeks to really make it go away for good, but you need to stay consistent. So then with that, we have tip number 10, and that is to take shifts or take turns. If you have a partner who is very supportive, who is going to watch this video with you and who is going to execute this strategy with you, make sure that you are taking shifts with them. So whether it is, I'll go in the room every other time, you go in every other time, or if it's, I will do this strategy until midnight and then you do it until 6 a.m. and then you do it that way. But however you decide to do this, you need to make sure that you are taking turns and giving yourself a break, because this is going to be long, exhausting, and annoying. Now, since we know that every kid is different, we know that some kids may adjust very quickly to this new way of addressing the situation, and some kids really might push your buttons. If you need one-on-one support to get through this huge transition, then you can definitely set up a one-on-one consultation with me where I will make you a customized sleep plan and support you through the changes to make sure that we are making changes to your strategy as needed. You can check out my sleep packages on my website. I will leave a link to that in the description box down below if you are interested. Do not forget to download the free bedtime routine cards and keep blooming. Mwah.